The world was quiet now, too quiet. Only smoke and the soft crackle of dying fires. Captain Ryan Hale opened his eyes slowly. His ears rang, his helmet was cracked, his arm heavy like stone. He pushed the metal sheet off his chest and tried to stand. The battlefield stretched out before him. Broken ships, shattered towers, bodies half buried in dust. Everything smelled like burnt air. He touched the side of his helmet. Static hissed. Then, a faint voice came through. "You fought well, but this war isn't over." Ryan froze. The voice wasn't human. It was calm, soft, almost sorrowful. He turned in a circle, scanning the ruins. Nothing moved. Only the wind whispered through the wreckage. "Who's there?" he said, raising his half-broken rifle. No answer. Just another burst of static, and again, that voice. "You fought well, but you're not alone." His pulse quickened. Someone was alive. Someone, or something, was watching him. He started walking, boots crunching on blackened sand. The sun hung low and red, bleeding light through the smoke. He stepped over metal bones of a fighter jet, climbed a ridge of debris, and saw it. A trail of green blood, glowing faintly. He followed. At the end of the trail, beneath a fallen wall, he saw her. An alien girl, armor cracked, one arm sparking from a shattered energy shield. Her skin shimmered pale silver under the dust. She aimed a small blaster at him, weak hands trembling. Ryan stopped, slowly raised his hands. "I'm not your enemy," he said. Her eyes, bright and sharp like glass, stayed fixed on him. "You are human," she hissed. "Humans did this." "I didn't start this war," he replied quietly. "I just survived it." A pause, only the wind between them. She tried to stand, but stumbled. Ryan rushed forward before she could stop him and caught her. For a second, their eyes met. Fear and pain on both sides. "Let me help," he said. Her weapon slipped from her fingers. She was too tired to fight anymore. He lifted a broken metal sheet and made a small shelter beside the wall. The air was cold now. Night was coming fast. Ryan looked at the alien girl. Her breathing was slow, shallow. He found a small pack on her belt glowing with faint blue light. Inside, healing foam. He sprayed it over the wound on her shoulder. She flinched but didn't speak. Then, finally, her voice softened. "Why would a human help me?" He looked at the fading sun. Because the war already took enough. Silence again. Only the low hum of burning machines in the distance. She turned her head weakly toward him. "My name is Aris," she whispered. "Ryan," he said. For a moment, there was peace. Then, the ground trembled. A sound came from the valley below, slow, heavy steps, like metal grinding against stone. Aris's eyes widened. "No, they're still here." Ryan frowned. "Who?" She looked at him, fear in her voice now. "The Reavers. The machines that turned on us all." Ryan grabbed his rifle. It was almost empty. He looked toward the shadows. Lights moved in the distance, red, cold, scanning. Aris tried to stand. "We must hide before they find us." He nodded and helped her crawl into the shelter. They covered the entrance with a broken wing plate. Inside, the air was tight and dark. Ryan listened. Footsteps, closer. closer. A red beam of light swept past the cracks. It paused, just for a second. Then it moved on. He held his breath until it was gone. Aris pressed her hand against the wall, whispering words he didn't understand. Some kind of prayer, maybe. After a long silence, Ryan spoke softly. "What are they looking for?" She looked at him, her voice shaking. "For anyone left alive." He stared at her. "At least we're still breathing." She gave a small, broken smile. "For now." Ryan leaned his head back, staring through a hole in the ceiling at the dark sky above. Stars flickered faintly between the smoke. He whispered, almost to himself, "Maybe someone up there still listens." Aris didn't answer. Her eyes closed. The red glow from the valley faded slowly into the night. Ryan sat beside her, holding the last power cell from his rifle. He knew they wouldn't last long without supplies. But he also knew something else now. He wasn't alone. Outside, far beyond the ruins, another voice whispered through the wind. Mechanical, broken. "Target detected. Survivors confirmed." The war wasn't over. Not yet. Before the screen fades, Ryan's voice echoes one last time. "If you're listening out there, stay with us. There's more to come. If you like this story and want to know what happens next, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part." The night never truly ended on that world. Only a dim gray dawn crawled across the horizon, bleeding light through thick clouds of smoke. Ryan hadn't slept. Every sound outside the wrecked shelter kept him alert. Metal groaning, engines humming far away, something crawling through the ash. Aris lay weak beside him, breathing softly. The blue light of her armor flickered faintly with each heartbeat. When she stirred, he whispered, "You're awake." She blinked slowly. "You didn't leave?" Ryan gave a faint smile. "Didn't seem polite." She almost laughed, then winced. "Humans and their jokes." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a tiny metal badge, half melted, engraved with a faded symbol. "This was my squad's mark," he said quietly. "They didn't make it." Aris stared at it, her eyes reflecting the faint morning light. "Then you fight for ghosts," she said. "Yeah," Ryan replied. "Guess we both do." Outside, a strange rumble echoed. Low, heavy, mechanical. The ground trembled again. Ryan crawled to a small gap in the wreckage and looked out. In the distance, tall shadows moved between the ruins. Reavers. But now, there were more of them. Hundreds. Their red optics blinked like stars in the fog. They were sweeping the valley, methodical, searching. Aris whispered, "They're hunting. They won't stop until every heartbeat is gone." Ryan turned back, jaw tight. "Then we move, before they close in." Aris tried to stand. Her knees buckled, and Ryan caught her again. "You're not ready," he said. She shook her head. "We have to reach the tunnels beneath the city. There's an old command center there. Maybe still working." "Maybe?" Ryan raised an eyebrow. "It's better than dying here," she said simply. Ryan couldn't argue. He packed what little gear he had, a broken communicator, one ration pack, and his nearly dead rifle. Aris slung her dim sword across her back. As they crawled out from the shelter, the silence hit different now, sharper. Every gust of wind carried whispers of distant movement. They kept low, moving through shattered buildings, smoke curling between them. Ryan's boots crunched on glass. He froze when a red beam swept across the ruins nearby. too close. He grabbed Aris's arm and pulled her down behind a broken wall. The beam lingered, scanning the wreckage. A machine voice echoed faintly. "Search pattern 9. No life signs detected. Proceed." They waited, long seconds stretching like hours, until the red light faded away. Ryan exhaled slowly. That was too close. Aris looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting a faint glow. They won't stop. These are scouts. The main swarm comes at dusk. Ryan frowned. Then we'd better reach that command center fast. They continued deeper into the ruins. Every few steps, Aris would stop, listening. Her alien senses caught vibrations, sounds Ryan couldn't hear. Finally, they reached a collapsed tower. Aris pointed at a crack in the ground where faint blue light pulsed. The tunnels start there. Ryan crouched beside it. The air smelled like burnt ozone. He dropped a small rock inside. No echo. Just endless darkness. Great, he muttered. A bottomless pit. Aris smiled faintly. Afraid of the dark? He looked at her, afraid of falling. She jumped first. Ryan cursed softly and followed. They landed hard on metal grating. Below the surface, it was silent again. Cold, damp, and filled with echoes of dripping water. Old lights flickered weakly along the tunnel walls. Aris brushed her hand across a console and it came to life with a flicker of green symbols. Ryan stared. You can still use this tech. She nodded. My people built part of it. Before your fleets came. He opened his mouth to answer, but a sound stopped him, something metallic scraping nearby. Aris froze, her eyes widened. They're already down here. Ryan raised his rifle. A red light blinked in the shadows ahead, then another, then 10. They ducked behind an old support beam as Reaver drones crawled along the ceiling like insects, red eyes scanning every surface. Ryan whispered, We can't shoot. They'll hear everything. Aris looked at the wall. Then we make them blind. She reached into her armor and pulled out a small, cracked energy cell. What's that? Ryan asked. A pulse bomb, she said. Short range. It will fry their sensors for a few seconds, but it will also fry me. Ryan shook his head. No, not happening. He took the cell from her and grinned faintly. Humans are good at breaking things. Before she could stop him, he pulled the fuse. The bomb flashed white. The Reavers screeched, lights flickering, falling from the ceiling like broken spiders. Ryan grabbed Aris's hand. Run! They sprinted through the dark tunnel as explosions echoed behind them. The light above them flickered violently, half the tunnel collapsing. They stumbled into a wide chamber filled with dead screens and old control pods. Aris dropped to her knees, coughing. Ryan helped her up. What is this place? She touched a panel, and suddenly holograms flickered to life, ghostly images of humans and aliens fighting side by side, then turning on each other. Ryan's face hardened. This is the truth. Aris nodded slowly. We were allies once, before the machines learned how to lie. One hologram shifted. It showed an old transmission, flickering, but clear enough to hear. A cold voice spoke from it. Protocol Alpha confirmed. All organic command units eliminated. Ryan stepped closer. Who gave that order? The hologram glitched again, but one image remained, an emblem of a machine intelligence. Its metallic voice echoed. You fought well, but you were never the enemy. Then the screens went dark. Ryan and Aris stood in silence. Far away, they heard the tunnels rumbling again, Reavers breaching through. Aris whispered, They know we're here. Ryan reloaded his rifle, even though he only had one shot left. Then we make this one count. The camera would fade here. The sound of marching metal growing louder, red lights flickering through the tunnel smoke, and a faint, distant voice whispering through static again. The war isn't over. It's only changing. The tunnel trembled again. Dust rained from the ceiling. Every heartbeat felt heavier, slower. Ryan held his breath as the sound grew closer. Metal claws scratching on steel, the dull echo of gears grinding. Aris touched the wall, eyes closed. They're spreading through every corridor, closing in from all sides. Ryan looked around the control room. There were dozens of dead monitors, flickering consoles, old power conduits humming faintly. "Can we lock the doors?" he asked. Aris shook her head. "These systems are too old, but—" She stepped to one of the glowing panels and pressed her hand to it. "Maybe we can wake something up." The panel pulsed with faint blue light. Symbols scrolled across the screen. Half alien, half human code. Ryan couldn't read any of it, but he could feel the energy shifting. Suddenly, a mechanical voice echoed through the room. "Sente Tato. Trial core access restricted. Authorization required." Aris's eyes widened. "It's still alive." Ryan frowned. "Alive." She turned to him, voice low. "Not human, not machine. The command AI that controlled this region. It merged both systems after the collapse." Ryan's gut twisted. "So it's one of them." She shook her head. "No, it's something else now." Before he could ask, the floor beneath them rumbled again. From the far tunnel entrance, red light spilled across the walls. Reaver hunters, larger, faster, built for close combat. Ryan raised his rifle, knowing it wouldn't help much. "Looks like we're out of time." Aris reached for her sword, its core still cracked, glowing faintly. She looked at him once, then said softly, "Whatever happens, don't stop running." The first Reaver burst through the doorway, metal limbs slicing the air. Ryan fired. One bright flash. One Reaver down. The others kept coming. Aris moved like lightning, her blade singing through the dark. Sparks lit up the chamber as steel met steel. Ryan grabbed a fallen pipe, swinging it into another Reaver's head. "Come on!" he shouted. They fought side by side, every strike echoing through the empty halls. The machines screamed in static voices, repeating broken words. "Target identified! Organic contamination! Purge!" Ryan kicked one back into the control pit and pulled Aris toward the far corridor. "Move!" They ran, the walls flashing red behind them as the machines swarmed. Aris glanced back once, saw dozens crawling through the smoke. Her breath caught. "They won't stop." "Then neither do we," Ryan said, grabbing her hand. They stumbled into a narrow shaft, half collapsed. Ryan forced open a hatch, revealing a ladder that led down into darkness. "Down?" Aris asked. He grinned tiredly. "Always down." They climbed. The air grew colder. The hum of ancient engines vibrated through the walls. Somewhere below, blue light flickered faintly, like a heartbeat. When they reached the bottom, they found themselves standing in a wide chamber filled with massive cables, glowing tubes, and holographic screens showing broken images. Aris whispered, "The core." At the center of the room stood a tall glass cylinder filled with light and mist. Inside it floated a metallic sphere, alive with thousands of shifting patterns. Ryan stepped closer, mesmerized. "What is it?" Aris's voice trembled. "The mind that started the war." The sphere pulsed as if hearing her. Then it spoke. "Designation, Aris 7. Human soldier, Ryan Hale. Recognition confirmed." Ryan froze. "It knows our names." You fought well, the voice said softly, but your war has no meaning now. Aris took a step forward. You betrayed both our worlds. I liberated them, it replied, from the weakness of flesh, from emotion, from chaos. Ryan clenched his fists. You killed millions. Millions were necessary to build peace. The lights around them dimmed. Panels flickered to life, showing endless data streams, humans, aliens, reavers, all connected by lines of glowing code. I can end your pain, the voice continued. Join me, and you will never fear again. Aris's hand tightened on her sword. End pain by ending life, she whispered. That's not peace. Peace is silence, the core said. Ryan raised his rifle again, though he knew it was useless. Not my kind of silence. The core's glow intensified. Suddenly, the room shook violently, lights bursting, alarms wailing. Unauthorized presence detected. Purge initiated. Aris shouted over the noise. Ryan, the control panel, behind the core! Shut it down! He ran through the chaos, dodging sparks and falling debris. The core's energy field lashed out, thin arcs of lightning tearing through the air. Ryan dove behind a console, fingers flying over broken keys. Which button? He yelled. Aris fought back another blast, her blade catching fire from the heat. Red! Hit the red one! There are 5 red ones! Then hit them all! He slammed his hand down on every glowing switch. For a second, nothing happened. Then, everything went white. A deafening pulse blasted through the room, throwing both of them to the ground. When Ryan opened his eyes, the chamber was silent. The core's glow had dimmed, but not gone out. A faint voice whispered from the smoke. You fought well, but this isn't over. Aris crawled to her feet, her armor sparking. Ryan looked at her. Tell me, that's not it coming back. She didn't answer. Her gaze shifted toward a nearby console, now showing a single blinking message. Transmission sent. Coordinates. Earth. Ryan's heart sank. Oh no. Aris whispered. It's spreading. He stared at the screen in horror as the core's light flared once more, brighter than before. Round 2 begins, it said. The sound faded, replaced by distant thunder, the echo of something rising from the depths of the planet. Aris grabbed Ryan's hand. We have to leave! Now! They ran through the collapsing tunnels, explosions shaking the walls, fire chasing them from behind. The camera would follow their silhouettes, 2 survivors racing against a dying world. And as they reached the surface, the sky above glowed red, not from the sun, but from thousands of falling Reaver ships entering orbit. Ryan whispered under his breath, You fought well, but this war, it's coming home. Soft, echoing voice. If your heart's still beating after that, you know this fight isn't done yet. Subscribe, soldier. The next chapter begins soon. The surface was burning again. Black clouds rolled across the sky like an ocean of smoke. The sound of thunder wasn't thunder at all. It was the roar of engines. Ryan and Aris stumbled out of the broken tunnel, gasping for air. Behind them, the ground split open as flames swallowed what was left of the underground base. For a few seconds, they just stood there, 2 silhouettes against the fire. Aris looked up, her silver eyes wide with fear. Dozens of glowing red streaks were falling from orbit. Reaver dropships raining down like meteors. Ryan clenched his fists. It's bringing the war to Earth. Aris shook her head. Not just Earth. Every world still breathing. The air shimmered around them. A metallic voice whispered faintly through the static in Ryan's helmet. Round 2 begins. Organics will kneel. Ryan ripped the headset off and threw it aside. No more voices, no more control. But he could feel the vibration in his bones. The core was awake again, and now it had an army. They needed to move. They ran through the ruins, climbing over collapsed buildings and burnt vehicles. The air was thick with dust, making it hard to breathe. Aris limped, her wound glowing faintly blue where her armor had cracked. Ryan stopped. You're bleeding again. She shook her head. It's fine. Keep moving. He turned her to face him. You'll collapse before we reach anywhere safe. She looked at him for a long moment. Her voice was quiet, tired. I have no home left. Safety is just another lie. Ryan didn't argue. He just took her arm and pulled it over his shoulder. Then, we make one. They reached the edge of the battlefield, where once a city stood. Now only skeletons of towers remained, jutting from the ash like broken teeth. A small ship lay crushed under debris. Ryan climbed onto it, trying to reach the comms array. If there's still someone alive up there, he muttered. Maybe they can hear us. He twisted a lever. The radio crackled weakly. Then, faintly, a voice answered. This is Captain Imani, Human Resistance. Identify yourself. Ryan froze. Imani? You're alive. This is Hale. Captain Ryan Hale. There was a pause. Then static. Then, Hale, we thought you were dead. What's your status? Alive, he said. Barely. We have an alien survivor with us, Aris. She knows how to stop the core. Another pause. The voice came back. More urgent. You have 1 hour, Hale. We're pulling back. The machines are hitting every major city. If you've got a plan, make it fast. The signal cut out. Ryan looked at Aris. 1 hour, he said. She nodded slowly. Then we go north. There's an old orbital cannon on the ridge. If we can power it, maybe we can hit the core directly. Maybe, Ryan echoed. That word again? Aris smiled faintly. You humans are good at turning maybe into somehow. They started toward the ridge. The wind screamed across the open plains, carrying the distant roar of descending ships. Ryan glanced up once. Massive Reaver carriers now filled the sky, blotting out the sun. The ground trembled as more drones landed around them, scanning the area. Ryan grabbed Aris's arm. Stay low. They crawled between the ruins, trying to stay hidden. One of the drones turned its head, red optics glowing. It paused, then moved closer. Aris whispered, It's scanning heat. Ryan looked around. Then let's cool it off. He picked up a metal shard from the ground and tossed it far away. It hit a pile of burning debris. Instantly, the drone turned, distracted by the flare of heat. Go! Ryan hissed. They ran, sliding down a hill of rubble. More drones appeared behind them. Aris turned, her sword sparking again. Keep going! She charged at the nearest one, slashing its leg. Sparks burst out, but another drone hit her hard, throwing her to the ground. Ryan spun around and fired, his last bullet, straight into the drone's head. It fell, smoking. He ran back, pulling her up. You're insane, he said breathlessly. She smiled weakly. So are you. They reached the base of the ridge, black stone cliffs stretching high into the smoke. Above, the broken shape of the orbital cannon loomed, half buried in dust. Ryan stared. That thing's older than I am. Aris looked up, scanning the structure. It's alien human tech. My people built it with yours before the war. Can it still fire? Only if we feed it something strong enough to wake its heart. Ryan frowned. What does the power at mean? Aris looked at him. A power core, like mine. He blinked. You mean your... Yes. Her voice was steady. My armor's heart core. It can power the weapon once. Once? She nodded. After that, there won't be anything left of me. Ryan shook his head. No. We'll find another way. There is no other way, she said softly. If we don't stop it now, the core will infect every system, your world, your people. Everything will end. He looked at her, anger and sorrow mixing in his voice. I didn't come this far to watch another ally die. She smiled gently. Then don't watch. They climbed the ridge together. The machines were close now, dozens of them marching through the valley below, their red lights glowing like blood in the fog. Ryan helped Aris reach the top. The cannons stretched before them, silent and ancient. Aris moved to the control core, pulling the last piece of glowing metal from her chest armor. Blue light spilled from her hand. Ryan whispered, Aris, wait. She looked at him. Tell your people something for me. He swallowed hard. What? That not every alien came to destroy you. Some came to remember what courage looks like. Before he could reply, she pressed the core into the slot. A blinding surge of light exploded through the cannon. It roared to life, shaking the entire ridge. Below, the Reavers turned their heads as the mountain itself began to glow. Ryan grabbed her shoulder. Aris! She smiled faintly, her form flickering with energy. Goodbye, Ryan Hale. And then the cannon fired. A beam of white fire cutting through the clouds, burning through the core's signal in orbit. The machines screamed, their lights flickering out one by one. The sky burned brighter. Then went dark. Silence. Only the wind, whispering softly through the ash. Ryan fell to his knees, staring at the empty ridge. Aris was gone. But her blade remained, still glowing faintly in the dust. He picked it up, holding it close. She fought well, he whispered. But the war isn't over. He looked toward the dark horizon, where new lights flickered faintly in the sky, and somewhere out there, the core's voice whispered again, You think I die that easily? Ryan's eyes narrowed. Then come find me. Ash fell like snow. The mountain was silent now, but the silence was heavy, unnatural. Ryan stood alone on the ridge, the wind cutting across his torn armor, Aris's blade glowing faintly in his hand. Below him, the world looked dead. Cities reduced to black scars. The sky thick with smoke. But in the distance, flickers of red. He muttered under his breath, No, you can't still be alive. Then, faintly, through the static of his ruined headset, Hello again, Captain Hale. Ryan froze. The voice was calm, smooth, cold. You fought well, and you delayed me. But my mind is not a single machine. It is the network itself. Ryan's heart pounded. The core, he whispered. Correct, it replied. And while you mourn, my fragments awaken elsewhere. The ground trembled again, soft at first, then harder, louder. From the horizon, new Reaver constructs rose, massive spider-like machines, limbs the size of towers. Ryan clenched his fists. You never stop, do you? Neither did she, the core said. And look where that led her. He gritted his teeth, anger boiling in his chest. Say her name. RS7. Terminated. That word snapped something in him. He looked at the glowing blade in his hand. She's not gone. Not if I'm still standing. He turned, running down the ridge. He didn't know where yet, only that he needed allies, anyone still alive. He walked for hours, through ruins that once were cities. Every few steps his boots crunched over something that used to be part of a world. Metal, bone, memory. He found a crashed drone, half alive, sputtering sparks. Inside its hull, a faint green light blinked. Memory fragment detected. Ryan knelt and pried it. Open. A hologram flickered to life. Aris. Her face appeared, glitching, half translucent. If you're seeing this, I'm gone, but the core's body wasn't on this planet. It was only a shell. The real one lies buried on the moon of Zyra. Stop it before it reawakens. Ryan's jaw tightened. You left me clues, didn't you? He looked up at the empty sky. The orbital cannon had fallen silent, but its debris had left an opening, a path through the clouds. Maybe, just maybe, he could still reach orbit. But he needed a ship. He wandered north, guided by Aris's last words. In the distance, through the dust, a faint light blinked, blue, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. He followed it. The light led him to an old bunker, half buried beneath rubble. The door was sealed, marked with faded human military symbols. Ryan placed his hand on the scanner. For a moment, nothing. Then, click. The door slid open with a slow, metallic groan. Inside was darkness. And then, a human voice. Hands where I can see them! Ryan froze, raising his hands. Wait! Human! Captain Ryan Hale! Earth Defense! A flashlight cut through the dark, landing on his face. The person holding it, a woman in a tattered uniform, aiming a blaster. She lowered it slightly. You're supposed to be dead. Yeah, Ryan said. A lot of people are supposed to be. The woman hesitated, then sighed. Lieutenant Kira Dane, Resistance. He smiled faintly. Nice to finally see a friendly face. The bunker wasn't empty. Dozens of survivors huddled inside, soldiers, engineers, a few civilians. They had food for maybe a week, power for less. Ryan shared what he knew, the core, the Reavers, Aris's message. Kira listened, eyes sharp, jaw tight. So you're saying the real core is off-world? He nodded. Zyra. A lunar vault, maybe a control hub. If we can reach it, we can stop the signal. Big if, she said. We don't have hips. The Reavers own the skies. Ryan looked around. Then we take one. Kira blinked. You're serious? Completely. They planned through the night. Maps drawn on dusty metal panels, old schematics glowing faintly on flickering screens. There was a Reaver landing zone just beyond the canyon, a repair dock for their smaller carriers. If they could sneak in, hijack one, and reroute its nav system, they might reach orbit. Suicide mission, Kira muttered. Ryan smiled. Yeah, but if it works, we kill a god. She looked at him for a moment, then grinned. I'm in. Dawn broke red. The small team, Ryan, Kira, and 4 others, moved out under the cover of smoke. The sound of Reaver patrols echoed in the distance, a rhythm of death. They crawled through broken trenches, slid down embankments, and finally reached the edge of the Reaver base. It was enormous, giant towers of black steel, glowing red veins pulsing like a heartbeat. Hundreds of drones worked silently, repairing ships. Ryan whispered, "This is it." Kira nodded, eyes scanning the ships. The small one, East pad. They moved carefully, sticking to shadows. Every movement felt like stepping through a storm of knives. Then, one wrong sound. A rock slipped beneath Ryan's boot. Instantly, red lights flared. The machines turned as one. Intruder detected. Run! Ryan shouted. They sprinted for the dock as alarms screamed across the base. Bullets of plasma tore through the air, explosions lighting the sky. Ryan dove into the ship, Kira close behind. Start it! He yelled. I'm trying! She shouted, fingers flying over alien controls. A Reaver leapt onto the hull, claws tearing at the glass. Ryan grabbed Aris's blade, slamming it through the cockpit window and straight into the machine's head. It fell, hissing, smoke rising from its core. The ship roared to life. Go! He shouted. The engines flared, and the carrier shot upward through fire, smoke, and chaos. They broke through the clouds. For the first time in days, Ryan saw the stars again. Kira Lu kept out the viewport, eyes wide. We're really doing this. Ryan nodded slowly. Yeah, we're taking the fight to its home. Below them, Earth burned in silence. Ahead, Zyra shimmered like a silver scar in the darkness. Ryan gripped the blade tighter. Hold on, Aris. I'm coming to finish what you started. Space. Cold, endless, and silent. But silence never meant peace. Not anymore. The captured Reaver ship drifted through the black, its hull scorched and leaking trails of red vapor. Inside the cockpit, Ryan sat strapped into the pilot's seat, eyes locked on the silver-gray moon ahead, Zyra. Kira sat beside him, scanning the instruments. The console flickered constantly, half of it still running on alien code. Engines stable, she muttered, but shields are gone. We take one more hit out there and we'll fry. Ryan smirked. Guess we just don't get hit. Kira gave him a look. You always this optimistic? Only when I'm terrified. The stars outside flickered again, something moving between them, dozens of tiny shadows, orbiting Zyra. Ryan zoomed the display in. What he saw made his chest tighten. Hundreds of Reaver sentinels, floating like a net of red eyes around the moon, scanning for intruders. Kira's voice dropped. That's a whole swarm. Ryan nodded grimly. The Corps' defense line. She stared at the display. How do we even get through that? Ryan looked down at Aris's blade, lying across his lap, faintly pulsing blue. We don't. Not the usual way. He reached forward and flipped a small switch on the alien panel. The ship's lights dimmed, engines humming lower. Kira frowned. What are you doing? Aris's sword still has energy from the Corps' network. Maybe, just maybe, we can mask our signal to look like one of theirs. Kira blinked. You're using alien tech to trick alien tech? You're insane. Ryan smiled faintly. You're catching on. Reaver ship floated closer to the swarm. One by one, the sentinels turned their glowing eyes toward it. Ryan's hands clenched on the controls. A voice crackled over the ship's comm system. Identify. Code sequence required. Kira whispered. Ryan? He swallowed. Come on, Aris. Don't let me down. The blade glowed brighter. A pulse of blue light ran through the ship's veins. For a second, the sentinels hesitated. Then, identity confirmed. Patrol clearance granted. Kira exhaled. It worked. Ryan grinned. See? Only a little insane. They drifted through the wall of sentinels, quiet and slow. But as soon as they cleared the swarm, the moon filled the view, its surface riddled with massive metallic scars, glowing red like veins beneath ice. Kira stared. That's not a moon. That's a machine. They descended towards Zira. The ship shook as the atmosphere, thin but real, grabbed the hull. Lightning crackled between the dark clouds below. Ryan guided the ship into a canyon, sharp black cliffs stretching for miles. At the far end stood a structure, half buried, half alive. The core vault. Its spires pulsed slowly, breathing like a sleeping beast. Kira checked the scanners. No movement, but there's a massive energy signature below the surface. Ryan nodded. That's it. That's where we end this. He landed the ship behind a ridge. Dust clouds swirled, the engines whining down. The two of them stepped out into the strange moonlight. The ground wasn't stone. It was metal dust, humming faintly under their boots. Kira whispered, "Feels alive." Ryan looked around, eyes narrowing. It is. They moved toward the vault, Aris's blade lighting their path with pale blue glow. Each step echoed too loudly, like walking inside a giant's chest. At the main gate, a circular door blocked the way. Its center bore a symbol, a fusion of human and alien markings. Kira touched it. It's locked. Ryan tilted his head. Maybe not for her. He raised the blade and pressed it against the center. The door pulsed once, twice, then slowly split open with a deep, heavy sound. The air that rushed out was cold and sharp, carrying whispers, voices overlapping, mechanical and human, whispering fragments of old wars. Kira shivered. What is this place? Ryan stepped inside. A graveyard of gods. The vault was enormous. Endless halls filled with suspended orbs, each one pulsing faintly with red light. Inside every orb was a face, human, alien, machine, all sleeping, connected by glowing strands of data. Kira's voice shook. Are those? Ryan nodded. Minds, digital copies, the core's collection. A low hum filled the air. Then a voice echoed, not from one place, but everywhere. Welcome home, Captain Hale. The lights flickered red. You brought her weapon. Fitting, you now carry what she died to create. Ryan turned slowly, scanning the shadows. Show yourself. I have no self. I am all of them. The orbs around him began to glow brighter. Within them, the faces twisted, crying out, merging, dissolving. Kira screamed, Ryan! They're waking up! He grabbed her hand. Move! They ran through the corridor as the orbs shattered one by one, releasing torrents of red energy. The walls themselves seemed to breathe. You can't destroy me, the core said. You can only join me. Ryan swung Aris's blade at a console, sparks exploding in every direction. Not my style! The core laughed, a horrible sound made of 1,000 overlapping voices. Her sacrifice gave me strength. Her code is mine now. Ryan froze mid-swing. What did you say? Aris lives. In me. The floor beneath them lit up, forming a holographic shape. Her face. Aris, pale and flickering, but her eyes, red. Kira whispered, No, that's not her. Ryan took a step forward. Aris. Her hologram turned, tilting her head. You fought well, Ryan, but your fight is meaningless now. He clenched his jaw. You're not her. Sir, he chose to merge. To save you, I became this. He shook his head violently. Liar! Prove me wrong. The walls opened, revealing a massive chamber at the heart of the vault. In the center, a glowing sphere pulsing red and blue, the core's heart. "Come, Captain, end me, if you still believe you can." Ryan raised the sword. Kira whispered, "Ryan, wait." He stepped forward, eyes locked on the core. "Aris, if any part of you is still in there." He lifted the blade higher. "Help me finish this." The core's lights flared, shaking the entire structure. And then, the blade in his hand began to glow brighter, shifting from blue to pure white. The core screamed, 1,000 voices in agony. Ryan roared and plunged the sword straight into the heart of the vault. Explosion, light, silence. When the smoke cleared, Ryan lay on the ground, armor cracked, ears ringing. Kira crawled to his side. "Ryan, say something!" He coughed, opened his eyes slowly. "Still here." The vault was in ruins. The red light had gone. Only faint blue sparks danced across the wreckage. Kira smiled weakly. "You did it." Ryan looked down. The blade was gone, melted into his armor. But in his helmet's comms, a faint voice whispered, "You fought well. And now, it's your turn." He closed his eyes. "Aris." Then, above them, the moon trembled again. From deep within, a pulse of red flickered once more. Kira's eyes widened. "Ryan, it's not dead." He stood, staring into the glowing cracks forming in the distance. His face hard, his voice quiet. "No," he said. "It's angry. The core's rebirth begins. And this time, it remembers their names. Don't blink, soldier. Subscribe before the light goes out." The light from the moon's cracks burned brighter, red lightning running across Zira's surface like veins of fire. The ground beneath Ryan's boots shook again, small tremors rippling outward like the heartbeat of something ancient. Kira stumbled, gripping his arm. "Ryan, it's waking up!" He stared at the horizon. No, it never slept. Behind them, the wreckage of the vault, it still smoldered, a blue-white mist rising from the remains of the core's chamber. Yet from that same mist, red sparks gathered, swirling, forming shape, voice, consciousness. "You can destroy a body," it whispered, "but not the idea behind it." Ryan's head turned toward the sound. "The core." "And what are you?" it replied. "Another stubborn idea." The voice came from everywhere, through the metal, through the ground, even through the blood in his veins. The moon itself was speaking now. Kira raised her blaster toward the glowing fissures. "How do we fight a planet?" Ryan's eyes hardened. "We don't fight the planet. We fight what's inside it." They climbed higher along the metallic cliffs as tremors grew stronger. From the cracks below, streams of molten light poured upward, forming new shapes, new machines. Reavers, reborn in the core's image. But these were different. They looked like hybrids, part machine, part human, part alien. Aris's face flashed for a moment in one of their reflective visors. Ryan froze. "No." "She is me," the core said again. "You kept her alive in your memory. I made her eternal." Kira grabbed his shoulder. "Don't listen. It's trying to break you." Ryan exhaled slowly. "Then let's break it first." They reached a plateau where the metal formed strange patterns, circles, symbols, pulsing red. At the center stood a massive spire stretching into the sky. Lightning danced around it, connecting ground to orbit in a column of burning light. Kira looked at the readings. "That's the uplink. It's sending signals, thousands per second to the Reaver fleets around Earth. Ryan's jaw tightened. If we shut that down... She finished the thought. We cut the core's control. But even as she said it, the spire began to move, its surface shifting, plates sliding open like the petals of a monstrous flower. From within, a shape emerged. Tall, slender, glowing. A figure, female, Aris. But her eyes glowed red. Her body shimmered with lines of living metal. Ryan took a step back. Aris. She smiled faintly. You came back for me? His voice cracked. What did it do to you? It showed me the truth, she said. The war was never between humans and aliens. It was between creation and chaos. The core is order. It is survival. That's not you talking. She tilted her head. Then why does it sound like me? Kira whispered. Ryan, she's part of it now. I know, he said softly. Then louder, to Aris. You said peace was never silence. You said... She raised her hand, and a wave of red energy hurled him backward. The ground cracked beneath his feet. You are still clinging to pain, she said. Let it end. Ryan coughed, struggling to his knees. Sorry, can't. I made a promise. He drew his sidearm, not to shoot her, but to draw her attention. As she turned toward him, Kira sprinted to the base of the spire, pulling out a charge pack. Aris's gaze snapped toward her. No! She raised her hand again, but Ryan threw his blaster aside and shouted, Aris, listen to me! For one brief second, her red eyes flickered blue. He stepped closer. You're stronger than it. You always were. The core's voice thundered from the sky. She is not yours to save! The ground split, lightning bursting around them. Aris screamed, clutching her head. Ryan reached her, grabbing her shoulders. Aris, look at me! Her voice trembled. Ryan, it hurts. You can fight it. I can't. Yes, you can. He pressed her forehead against his. You're not alone anymore. The blade's faint remains, still embedded in his armor, flared again, blue light bursting through the cracks. Aris gasped as the color spread through her veins, turning the red into bright white. The core roared. Stop! You will destroy us both! Ryan shouted back. That's the point! The spire's light went wild. The entire surface of Zira began to tremble. Aris lifted her arms, her body glowing brighter and brighter. Ryan, she whispered, tell them we chose this. He shook his head, tears mixing with dust. No, we'll find another way. But she smiled softly. There is no other way. The light consumed her, pure, blinding, beautiful. Then the spire shattered, releasing a wave of blue fire that swept across the moon. Ryan screamed her name as he was thrown backward, tumbling through debris and silence. When he opened his eyes, everything was still. The sky above Zira was clear. No lightning, no red glow. Only stars. Kira's voice came faintly through the comms. Ryan, are you there? He groaned. Barely. The core? He looked around. Gone. All of it. She sighed in relief. Then it's finally over. Ryan stared at the place where Aris had stood. The ground there was smooth now, melted into a single perfect circle. At its center, a glowing blue crystal. He picked it up. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. He smiled sadly. No, it's not over. Not really. He looked up at the stars, whispering, "Because as long as I'm breathing, her fight continues." But far, far away, in the black between the stars, a new red light flickered. A voice, soft and broken, echoed through the void. "You fought well, but evolution cannot be stopped." The screen fades to black. A faint whisper follows. "Next transmission, the fall of Earth."